Oh, Amy, we're thinking of you. Um, and so I think it's interesting, Amy, on how you're present, even when you're not present. So Nora and I were talking about, stuff, and all of a sudden it goes into like like we were talking about, do people go ahead? Like I learned years ago that often, like when people in friendships, we want to go ahead and have, um, like we want to go ahead and have good friendships, nice friendships, loving friends. We want good things in life. We do. At least we think we do. And so we think we do. And, but do we? And so I asked Nora, and I said, I mean, not precisely the exact words, but the essence. This is the essence of what I asked her. The essence of what I asked her is, do people, want manure? So I found that, often I go ahead and pour my heart, life, and soul into people, and then they screw me. It's like, yeah, no, I'm put on this planet to be screwed. And it's like, okay. And so I learned years ago, decades ago, you want like you want, and they people just give you manure. They just do. So it's like, well, if they're going to give me manure, I guess I might as well enjoy it. And so I just take the manure and plant it by the roses. So I've learned how to get screwed by people, and it's fine. It's okay. It's not like it's fine. It's just people. It's just human beings. And so, like, that would be a great question. Would you rather have, fragrant roses, or would you rather have manure? And if somebody says, I'd rather have fragrant roses, but I have more manure, why do you have more manure? Because you want it, you like it, you enjoy it, you relish it. I mean, you just do. So I wonder, Amy, do people, do people just enjoy, manure? And so, Nora asked where that question came from. I said from over 30 years of experience in asking people what their biggest challenge is, and people don't want to solve their biggest challenge. They don't want to solve the manure. And I wonder why. Like, like, why? Like we had an interesting, very, very interesting, podcast yesterday, white males over 50. And when my mom and dad were in their 60s, they declined very, very fast. Very fast. And I went ahead and did a project, wrote, did podcast, did a whole bunch of work on, over 60 and loving life. And and the reason, and so it's interesting because I saw them dying before they needed to. It's like they're gonna die and they don't need to. So I did this whole project, over 60 and loving life. And my youngest brother, Ken, he's like, Mark, I'm concerned for you. I'm like, why is that? And he said, because I concerned you're pouring all this time and money and everything into this project. I don't know that mom and dad are gonna even like watch it, look at it, listen to it, or participate. I don't know that they're gonna benefit anything from it. I said, I get that. It's like, okay. Oh, Nora, like, why would I go ahead and invest all this time and money and energy into something that wasn't going to go ahead and work? Like, most likely, hundreds of hours, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars into something that wasn't going to help my parents. Why would I do that?
Not sure.
So, so we often end up like our parents are.
Yeah, I can see that, and yet at the same time, it's like you still get a choice.
And so a woman who's in a like like her dad's an alcoholic. I mean, she has a choice. She has a choice on whether or not she marries an alcoholic. She has that choice. Why does she often choose to marry an alcoholic? I mean, if she has a choice, why would she choose to do that? Or, she's had a bad marriage or she's had, not like she's had a bunch of manure. Like, if we have a choice, why don't we make a better choice the second or third or fourth time around? Why don't we do that?
Well, it's because it feels familiar, so you have to kind of rewire your brain.
Why is that, like, seemingly to me impossible for people to do?
I don't know, because they don't go to a good therapist. I have no idea. They don't learn how to get the tools and stuff to do that, and to to rewire it.
I mean, here's a book, You Are the Placebo, where it says usually when people step into the river of change, the void between the old self and the new self is so uncomfortable that they immediately slip back into their old selves again. They unconsciously think this doesn't feel right. I'm uncomfortable or I don't feel so good. The moment they accept this thought or auto suggestion and become suggestible to their own thoughts, they will unconsciously make the same old choices again that will lead to the same progression of the same habitual behaviors to create the same experiences that automatically endorse the same emotions and feelings, and then they will say to themselves, "This feels right." But what they really mean is, "This feels familiar." It's fascinating to me. It's fascinating. I was talking to an individual yesterday, and I, they say, "Yeah, I don't trust this person," and like, I don't trust this person. Like, as a friend, I don't trust them, and I just laugh, and I'm like, and then they get angry, and it's like, they get angry, and they're like, "Well, I'm not the only one who doesn't trust him." And I listed out the name of five people who don't trust this person. So five people can't be wrong. I mean, this person and five other people don't trust this person. So it must be this person's fault. And I just sit back in wonderment. I just like, it just, I'm in absolute wonderment. I'm just like, Unless, of course, these five people have the same situation, and that is they haven't healed. So what they do is they go looking and looking and looking until they find somebody that tells them what they want to hear. And then they feel a connection to the person. And it's it's like, is it codependency? I don't know. It's just strange to me. It's just strange. So I mean it's like the crab in the bucket principle. And and it's just weird. It's like people, it's like so Amy, you're missed. Like great to it'd be great to have you weigh in on this because so my understanding is that often like alcoholics when they go to AA, they go ahead and become addicted to the group. So they give up one addiction and they go to another addiction. So Amy, you had said something about there's positive addictions, and I'm with you. Theoretically, everything's positive, negative, everything's negative could be positive. And so like I think of one thing I'm addicted to, two things, maybe three things. So I've come up with three things that I think I'm addicted to. Do you have three things, Nora, you're addicted to?
Um, I mean, probably. I don't know that I know offhand what it is.
So the first thing that hit my brain, like I'm like, what are you addicted to, Mark? And I'm like, first thing is growing. The second thing is my life vision. And the third thing that hit my brain was truth. Like if the truth hurts, it was meant to. And the more it hurts, the more it was meant to hurt. So I have a newfound freedom that I've never ever in my life had the freedom that I have now.
What's that?
A friend told me a friend told me they're adults. You don't have to worry about them. And the freedom that that gave me was insane. And then, Elaine and Mary Jo, when I hit the squirrel and I was traumatized by it, and they said, it's a dumb squirrel. It's okay, Mark. You actually did it a favor. And his family and everybody else. I'm not saying they said all of that. I'm just saying that's what I heard. Like they did say it was a dumb squirrel. Like, and it makes sense to me. So now I have a process. Like I have a process. And it's weird because we're coming up on Jonathan's sixth anniversary next Wednesday. So he died on a Wednesday. and it's a Wednesday this year too. So that, so, and on a Saturday, like the next Saturday, Nancy Verts was on. And so it's 3 days after his death. Pretty fresh. Pretty, pretty like, and it's a violent death. I mean, it's a rifle shot to the head. Cheapers. So I went into the room where it happened. Everything was, his body wasn't there, but everything else was still there. Holy cow. Never forget the sight, the smell, like everything. It was crazy. Anyways, and so 3 days after, we're talking on a podcast and and Nancy goes and says, Mark, have you ever? And then she stopped. And I said, what were you going to say? She says, no, no, no. Yeah, no. I'm like, no, I want to know what you're going to say. And she's like, no, I better not. And I pressed her and pressed her and pressed her. And finally she relented after 3, 4 times. And I'll appreciate, I'm glad she did. And she says, well, what I was going to say is, Mark, have you ever thought that Jonathan's death was his greatest gift to you? And I said, I have. I have. And so it's just, I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. And then how people project their heart. Like if I'm I said for decades, like if I'm going to laugh about it in 10 years, well, why not laugh now? Like, right? Why waste 10 years? I'm going to heal, you know? I mean, at 19, my world was rocked and it took me 3 years to figure out how to heal from that. Holy cow, was that hard? But it gave me a basis to heal faster. So it's fascinating to me on people's hearts, like, and how conniving people are, like how shifty they are, and how they share certain pieces of information and not other pieces of information to try to go ahead and leverage it to get the advantage to they want all of the advantage of the friendship without the responsibility that comes with friendship. And it's like, okay. And then they project into your heart, their heart. And you're just like, what? So Amy, I don't know if you've heard this story. I think you have. Like, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I was walking with Rosanna and I said, yeah, I think I've figured out one of the main reasons I've been put on this planet. And she's like, what's that? And I said, to be screwed by people. And she says, wow, that's really negative thinking. Like, wow. Like, no, not really. Like, you're just weird. Why? I said, because it purifies the heart. So it's like a purity of the heart. And it's like people try to understand us and our motives and why we do things, but they can only measure like our motives based on their own motives, their own heart. So this is something I've really been struggling with. And Pastor James McDonald, once in a sermon, he was pretty riled up and he went ahead and said, people go ahead and think this is my motive and this is this and this is this. He was pretty hot under the collar, it seemed to me. And he thinks this and this. And I just want to say to those people, if you had the power, the influence, and everything I had, yes, this is what your heart would be. But maybe God hasn't given you that because your heart's not ready for it. I don't know. So that's something that, like, how do you help people realize, Nora, that they're doing it to other people? That they're projecting their own heart, mirroring, they're projecting their own heart onto somebody else. And how do you help people realize I don't have the heart that this person does?
Not sure. I did hear or I was told once that how we talk about our problems either solves them or intensifies it.
And so, you know, in many ways, those are one and the same.
What do you mean?
So we often don't fix the problem until it's intensified. So I would agree with that. I would agree with that totally. And I think one like I think one I had a conversation this morning, and it's like, you know, with an individual, and it's like I mean, it's a woman, so obviously, you know, it's it like this woman. It's like it's so hard for a woman. It's so hard for a woman. She's so fast. Well, what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong, Mark? I mean, like, what if you're wrong? Like, they're so fast. They're so quick to think they're right, and they're not. Well, what if, have you thought clearly through this situation that you're saying, what if I'm wrong? Have you thought clearly through this situation and what if you're wrong? Like, but it's like women, it's like they can't. It's like they can't think. It's like they can't process. I could be totally wrong. Like they can't put themselves in. And if they do, it's weird because women have this crazy cool capability that I want to learn how to do. I think I'm learning actually. And it's like, it's the ability, well, what if, okay, what if I am wrong and somebody does die? So what? Who cares? I don't care. So it's almost like a woman has this capability, a woman has this crazy cool capability to go ahead and say, well, if I'm wrong and the person dies, it's good, it's fine, it's totally good. I'm serious because it gives her drama, it gives her trauma, it gives her a bunch of manure that she can go ahead and then like she has this bigger pile, and it's a bigger pile and a bigger pile and a bigger pile, and she just gets to pile it up on her, and then she can feel, you know, then she can feel again. What can she feel? She can feel entitlement, like I'm owed this. I deserve this. I deserve a relationship. I deserve this to be cared for. I deserve this and this and this. So they get entitlement. And then they can be self righteous because obviously, you know, they've been mistreated, they've been wronged. And so they be self-righteous, like now they're really good because they have all of this manure all around them. And then victimhood, they're victims, and so they can share these stories about how this happened and this bad thing happened and this bad thing happened and this bad thing happened. It's just strange to me. It's just like It's just weird. And they think they're happy. They really do. It's just so like what was shared with you about how you talk about it? I mean, that was pretty cool. Can you give more details on that?
Um, Not sure. It's just like, problems come up or whatever, like how we talk about it. Like it's either gonna be we're gonna talk about it in a way of like we're solving it or it's only gonna make it worse.
So as a driver personality, I hate when things get out of control. And it's so painful when people make stupid choices and they hurt other people around them. I don't think most people are like that because I think I had this epiphany yesterday with a couple of young men, and I'm like, or 2 days ago, and it's like on how one of them could just dismiss the other one, just like, yep, like they're just like, yep, that person's no longer of benefit to me, and it hit me. I'm like, I'm like, why do I want lifelong relationships and other people don't? It seems like they just don't. And I think it's because I invest so much into people. So I'm like, hey, because I invest so much, it's like you don't, when you invest a whole lot into something, you don't want to lose it. But most people don't invest anything. They're just takers. They just take, and they don't give. And so when they've pretty much emptied that gold mine, they go on to the next one and they're just takers. But they actually think a lot of these are good, devout Christians. And they think of themselves something totally different. So do you have an example of like how we talk about it? Like how would you talk about it in a way to solve it?
Not sure. Like maybe if it's like if we talk about it in like a negative light, then that's not gonna actually solve the problem. So, that's kind of how I've looked at it.
Like you and I are similar in the analytic. And so people will go ahead and, when we point out like 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 if somebody were to go ahead and say to you, you're dismissive. I don't think you would look at that as being negative. I would think you'd look at that as being positive. Like you'd be curious and say, oh, that's interesting. Or, if you're a pathological liar, like I don't think that would be negative. That would be something positive, like somebody actually cared about you, or you're put down like, are you dying and going to hell? Like, I would think that, like the analytics, I think they're like, well, that's really cool. Like somebody cares about me. Like, yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's have a conversation. Let's dig into it. But it's interesting because I don't like the people who say dismissive. Do they think before they say, hey, I think you're dismissive, Mark? Do they think about, are they the ones that are dismissive? I don't know that they do. And do they come back and do they acknowledge and say, I was wrong? Like, you might be the least dismissive person. Like, you internalize stuff like crazy. You probably internalize stuff you shouldn't even internalize. Like, you'll write a book on it about, like, is it true? And that, well, they come back and acknowledge, you know what? I was wrong, just totally wrong. Will they see it? Probably not. And it's okay because they're just dumb squirrels. they're, they're just dumb squirrels. And it's just like, So did in that conversation or whatever, was there discussion about how to solve things at the core? So you're not keep coming back to the same stuff over and over again?
Um, Not well, because it was in the same conversation about, like stuff feeling familiar. So it's like you have to, but it's like it's really hard on stuff like that if, your brain's been used to the one way and then like to do the opposite of that. Like it's really hard to do that. Um, so it was in that same conversation.
Yeah, so I've been working on for, well, at least 14 years. This stuff is 14 years. Like, how do you fix it at the core? And I create these models, and it's like, and I still, so it's almost like I've come to the conclusion that people don't want to fix things at the core. And it's almost like Jonathan McKee, smart employee, like, like really, the guy's just smart, but he acted stupid. And I asked him, I asked his wife, his ex-wife. So he's got divorced, and his daughter was working with us. Lauren was her name, and his daughter was working with us, and so I knew the mom, his ex-wife, and so I said to his ex-wife, I said, "Hey, you know, uh, Jonathan, it seems like he's really smart, but he acts stupid." And she laughed, and she said, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, she's like, "Well, when we were married, I asked him that. I asked him, I'm so, like, Jonathan, you act stupid." And he laughed and he said, "Yeah, he did it intentionally." And she's like, "Why do you act stupid?" And he's like, because then people expect less of you. And so, Amy, it's fascinating to me on how, like, even when you're not here, you're here. And I don't know, should this podcast be sent to Patrick and Mike? They seem to be two guys that go ahead and it's like they get it. They like they're searching, they're like little boys and they're searching for answers. And Mike and Mark and Patrick, like we're all in our 60s. And it's like, and there's patterns, and they're most fascinating patterns. This is what's intriguing to me. Like, so, at the beginning of the podcast, for those who are just joining live, the beginning of the podcast, I talked about doing a program for over 60 and loving life for my parents because they were going to die. I could see it. Like, they're going to die early. They don't need to die, but they're going to because of how they think. And it's fascinating because my mom, like, Amy, you haven't heard this. I almost positive. Like, so my mom, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, given 2 to 6 months to live. My youngest sister's a medical doctor, not trained in bedside manner. She calls me up and she's like, "Yep, the test got back. Okay. Yep, mom's got 2 to 6 months to live." And I wanted to ask her a question. maybe you all can help me. Like, I wanted to ask her a question like, nobody, like, everybody dies? Like, 100% of the people? Like, why didn't I ask her that question?
She's a medical doctor.
Oh, okay. So Rosanna, she trained me when I was, well, she tried to train me when I was in my 20s that, amoxicillin, like when your doctor tells you that you have to have amoxicillin, you have to have it because the doctors know best. Like in my 20s, I confronted the entire medical community, everything the doctor said, and I'm a 20-year-old and I confront medical, the whole thing. And Rosanna, she was not happy. Oh my gracious, she was upset. She was ticked. I mean, she went ahead and went as far as to say, if the kids go ahead and become deaf, it's on you. Well, that was a pretty mean thing to say to your husband. And what the fascinating thing is none of them became deaf. So, like, if you had a husband that in his 20s, he was smarter than the entire medical community, what would you do, ladies, with a husband like that?
Not sure, because that'd be like a wow factor.
I was hoping one of you'd be like, Jeepers. I mean, if I had a husband who knew more than the entire medical community about the health of our children, I'd listen to that man for the rest of my life. Like that dude, he's got it. And he's in his 20s and he understands this stuff. He understands and he's willing to go against, he's willing to stand up to his wife and the entire medical community, all of these smart people, and say, no, no, I'm not going to do it. Like that dude, you'd listen to for the rest of your life. That's what I was hoping one of you were going to say. But wisely, none of you said it because I'd be like, oh, no, you wouldn't. We wouldn't? No, no, you wouldn't. No, no, you wouldn't. Well, it seems like we would, Mark. Like that would be the smart thing to do. Like, and it's not a one time. Like this isn't one off. This isn't one off. I mean, can we mark it down? Someday in the future, they're going to go ahead. Like Mike, being that guy. Like he's the first guy that went ahead, first person, first human being. I have given this addiction video. Like I've given this addiction video out to I don't know how many people. And so I've given this addiction video out. I don't know how many people. He's like, Mark, that addiction video is amazing. And I'm like, right? Like, right? So if this is true about alcohol, could it be true about vitamins too? Ooh, those are fighting words. So it's like when you give your body something that's not natural, then your body stops producing it. So your body knows more. Like, watch the video, see if you can see it. See if you can see it. Say, maybe it's not just alcohol. Maybe it's not just drugs. Like maybe it's vitamins. Don't worry, ladies. I'm not going to go to the essential oils. I won't go there. I'm not going there. Um, and so I don't know what it is about women. I don't know. Like you'd think if yeah, you have a husband that does that in his 20s and he's smarter in his 30s than he was in his 20s and 40s than he was in his 20s and 30s because he's more humble. Every decade he becomes more humble. Every decade he realizes, dang, I don't know very much. And you'd think, but it's weird to me. It's just fascinating. Women just fascinate me. It's like you'd think that they'd go around and they'd say, listen to this dude. Like this dude, he understands more than the medical community. Beth Smith told me something that I've felt to be true. She said to me, so she's my therapist from over in Europe. She said to me, she said, every human being is born with a therapist inside of them. I'm like, what? What do y'all think about that? Right?
It kind of makes sense.
Right? Like,
I mean, it's
you know,
also hard to understand that somebody says everybody has cancer inside of them too.
right. So it's fascinating because I've never had another therapist ever say, yeah, no, you have a therapist built inside of you. It's like, but I thought on day 7, I thought that God created vitamins and medication and, doctors and therapists. Like, I think on day 7, the Bible says God rested, but he didn't. He couldn't have. He had to create these things because you have to have these things. You have to have these things. You can't heal on your own. You can't figure it out on your own. I'm like, Beth, wouldn't that decimate the entire therapy industry? She just kind of laughed. So, so Amy, you rock, girl. Hopefully you had a great day. This is fascinating. Pass it on to others. Oh, going back to my parents, one of the main reasons that I went ahead and did it is I thought, I bet you I'm going to be like my parents. So I'm going to have to start working at 40. How do I enjoy life over 60 and loving life? How do I do that? And so there was self awareness that I'm going to be more like my parents and I'm going to have to work. It's not like, oh, I have to work. No, I'm going to have to work like crazy not to be like them. So always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.